9 dead and 170 arrested. This was the scene outside of the Waco, Texas restaurant, the Twin Peaks, after bikers clashed with themselves and police. There's a history of... Today we're going to talk about the history of violence in Waco and some of the background information on one of the main gangs involved with the fight, the Banditos, in order to enlighten us on the events that happened and kind of figure out what this means to us as a society. Like a scene out of a Quentin Tarantino movie, bikers use brass knuckles, chains, slammed each other on cars, used pistol grip shotguns and handguns in order to do the damage to themselves and clash with police. Why is this important to us, you might ask? Well, in today's well-armed society, whereas in the past or in other countries where firearms and weapons aren't necessarily as readily available, clashes like this are often a lot less deadly to law enforcement officers and the people involved. Waco is actually no stranger to violent events or biker gangs. Something that happened in Waco in 1993 that's kind of infamous was the Mount Carmel Ranch siege by the FBI, in which David Koresh and a lot of his followers were suspected of stockpiling firearms and manufacturing drugs on the premises. So the FBI decided to execute a search warrant on the premises and were met by gunfire, which led to a 3-day siege on the property, where the FBI tried to reason with David Koresh, and they finally realized that there was no reasoning with this guy, so they decided to attack the complex again. And it's not really clear who set the fires or how, but 3 fires were set inside the building, and at the end of the day, there were 82 people dead and 4 FBI agents dead. So that's a big deal in the history of Waco. They have their fair share of violence in their past. One of the biker groups involved is one of the most notorious biker gangs, and the name of that gang is the Banditos. Kind of a fact that I thought was interesting is an FBI analyst said to the New York Times that the Banditos think that the Hells Angels are too nice. They have 900 members across 93 chapters in the United States, and they have 2,000 members worldwide in 13 countries. The federal government said in a statement after the Waco, Texas shooting that the Banditos are posing a growing threat to not only the government and government officials, i.e. police officers and narcotics officers, but they're posing a threat to community members because they're so volatile that anyone crosses them and they immediately resort to violence. They're mainly known for drug trafficking and violence usually entails in this business. There was an event recently where 3 Bandito members in Ontario, Canada were arrested while they were trying to dump the three bodies of rival gang members into a lake in Ontario, Canada over a turf war which involved narcotics. And their motto, which kind of really sums them up, is, "We are the people that your parents warned you about." So this brings us to the events of Sunday, May 17th, outside the Twin Peaks restaurant. The Twin Peaks was hosting it was a get-together. It was they had registered with the town city as like a family get-together, but it quickly became a weekly hangout for a lot of the bikers in the area. So weekly, the police had SWAT on standby and were prepared for violence. And on this particular Sunday, a lot more people showed up than usual. The Banditos especially were in force that day. And so basically what happened is a disagreement started in the bathroom. There are reports of that one gang member peed on the shoes of another gang member, or that they simply just bumped into each other and started a fist fight. So the fist fight spilled out into the restaurant, which started a bigger brawl where people were using knives and brass knuckles to fight each other. And then that quickly spilled out into the parking lot where there was gunfire exchanged. And when the police responded, they responded within 30 seconds. when the police responded, the bikers started open firing on police, and when it was all said and done, 9 people were killed, who were all Bandito gang members, and 9 people were killed, and there were over 300 arrests, 179 of which are still in jail today. So what does this mean for us? Well, a lot of analysts have said, one in the New York Times, one for CNN, both of them were gang correspondents, says that in our heavily armed society, this violence is starting to become more widespread. But they also say that there's not necessarily a solution for it, per se, minus government crackdown on these organizations. Because if you try to regulate firearms, all that does, most analysts are saying that all that's going to do is take the guns out of the law-abiding citizens who have gotten them in the correct way. These gang members and these people are still going to find ways to illegally get these weapons no matter what. And it really means to us that these gangs really should not be allowed to masquerade as a legitimate organization. And people are scared of them, so they thrive. So all in all, there were 9 dead and 170 arrests in Waco, Texas. There has been a bit of a history of violence, and the main gang involved, the Banditos, is extremely violent, which kind of explains what happened. So maybe if we've learned anything today, we've just learned if you see a member of the Banditos on the street, maybe you should just turn and walk the other way. Thank you.